Welcome to Rocinio Law. Here's your host, Albert Rocinio.
Today, in this video, we're going to talk about a gentleman by the name of Kanye West. Some of you may have heard of him. He's a rather well-known, rich, probably maybe still a billionaire individual. And like every individual, he has the right to freedom of speech. However, that right is not unlimited, and that right can get you in trouble, because other people have the right for freedom of speech, and private entities have the right to decide what type of speech they want to be associated with. Many people don't understand that your right to freedom of speech really talks about your right to freedom of speech relative to the government, not necessarily to the person sitting next to you or your employer, or in Mr. West's case, people that he does business with and or has endorsements with. So what's going on? Well, a young attorney from my office, Isaac, brought this to my attention. He's far more internet savvy than I am. And he said, "Hey, Al," he said, "have you seen what's been going on with Kanye West? It's all over social media and the internet." And I had seen a little bit of it, but I really wasn't all that familiar with it. And he was kind enough to bring me up to speed. Apparently, Kanye has had his problems. Kanye's been very outspoken. And Kanye, I think it was last year, got banned from Instagram for some things that he put on Instagram that Instagram decided did not meet their criteria, and they suspended his account. I believe he's also been on Facebook. I believe, I'm not 100% positive, and I think that account got suspended. And most recently, Kanye posted some very inflammatory comments on his Twitter account. And basically, most people feel they were anti-Semitic, and they dealt with him talking about wanting to go to war with the Jewish population for some reason. I don't know all the details about it, but I do know that that is what he said. And look, I don't have to agree with him. Isaac doesn't necessarily agree with him. I think his ex-wife, who some of you may have heard of, she doesn't necessarily agree with him. That would be Kim Kardashian. She posted something about hate language never being appropriate. But he has the right to express himself. And this creates several issues, several really good issues that I would love to hear your opinion of, and bring some light to this issue that Kanye has gotten himself into. The first issue is Kanye has the right to say what he wants. That's in our First Amendment. It's the right for freedom of speech. We don't have to like it, or we don't have to agree with it. From a governmental standpoint, we have to allow it as long as he's not actually inciting something like maybe, if you incite a riot. In law school, we have these classic examples that we like to use of things. And one of the classic examples of freedom of speech is, yes, you can say almost anything you want. However, you can't walk into a crowded movie theater and shout fire. Why? Because people could get trampled or seriously hurt or even killed as they attempt to get out of a movie theater where there is no fire. Okay? That's not protected speech. If you want to say that you like Trump or you dislike Trump, or that you like Biden or dislike Biden, that is protected speech. In fact, political speech is one of our most important protected speech that we've ever had. Freedom of religion and religious speech, absolutely protected. So you have those rights. That being said, let's not confuse the right that you have freedom of speech with the right that other people have to disagree with you. Also, let's not confuse the fact that you have right for freedom of speech and the government can't tell you that you can't say certain things. But that doesn't mean that the general public can't say things or take action. Excuse me, people. And it also doesn't mean that your employer necessarily can't censure you or fire you for saying something that they don't agree with. You see, because they have their own right for freedom of speech. And they have their own business interests, and they have the right to protect those business interests. And if you're saying or doing something which negatively reflects on your employer, or your employer feels that it negatively reflects on them, they have the right to protect their financial interests. That might be censuring you, having you withdraw your comments, or even firing you. That's their right. Unfortunately, many people don't understand that. In Kanye's case, and as not to be unexpected, when he went on his anti-Semitic rant, as that's what they're calling it, he said and did some stuff and posted some things that weren't generally accepted or agreed upon. And so what happened was he began to lose a lot of money. How did that happen? His people that he works with, that he has contracts with, endorsement deals, business relationships, all started to pull away from him. They started to say, oh, wait, we don't want to be associated with this type of conduct and this type of language. This is not the image we want to portray. So who did he lose? He lost Gap, which also was Yeezy Gap. Ye or whatever he calls himself is one of his, I guess, handles. He lost Vogue, the magazine, right? He lost the CAA talent agency, which was a major player. I mean, they're responsible probably for getting him a lot of work and or maybe bringing him talent. They're not going to associate or do business with him. His banker, J.P. Morgan Chase, his banker told him, you got until I think it's November 21st to get all your money out of our bank. We don't care what you do with it. We don't care where you send it. Get it out of our bank. If you don't get it out of our bank by November 21st, we're just simply going to close your accounts and send you a check. I mean, a check may be $500 million, whatever the case may be, but we're going to send you a check. Accounts are closed. See you later. We don't want anything more to do with you. Another company, and if I pronounce this wrong to the company and everybody, I apologize, Balenciaga. I think they're another clothing company or style company. They've cut ties with him. So you're seeing this all happening. You're seeing social media accounts cut ties with him. And I think that those companies have absolutely every right to do that. They have the right to protect their image. And some of them, another one, Adidas. He has a big contract with Adidas. I think Isaac mentioned to me that Adidas indicated that they may lose like $300 million terminating the deal. But I'm sure that they've done their analysis and feel that it's more important for their image. Long term, it might be more financially beneficial for them to cut ties with Kanye. So they're doing that. These are all major companies. They're going to cost those companies a lot of money, and it's going to cost Kanye West a lot of money. But he has the right to say what he wants, but not necessarily always without consequence in those realms. The other thing that we wanted to talk about and get your feelings on is, where do these social media platforms fall in terms of their obligation to permit freedom of speech? They are private in nature. So arguably speaking, they have the right to allow or not allow any type of speech that they want. But is it really fair and appropriate when these social media platforms can try and influence an election by allowing, let's say, Joe Biden advertisements and push Joe Biden and Joe Biden and Joe Biden, and cut out Donald Trump, not allow his advertisers, not allow his people to speak out on his behalf? Is that fair? Should that be allowed? Especially when you consider that these social media platforms are as akin to what they would have called our town square, where people got together and they spoke. And certainly you wouldn't have been allowed to prevent that in the town square. Same with Twitter, and same with Instagram and any of these other platforms. Should Instagram, should Twitter, should Facebook be allowed to block and or delete the account of somebody like Kanye West because he's expressing an opinion that's his opinion, regardless of the fact they don't agree with it? And they can always put up disclaimers. Things people post are not our position. We don't necessarily agree with it. We're not supporting it. And that would all be fine. But should they have the right to close and prevent the free dissemination of speech? Should these organizations, which are so big and reach now, literally billions of people, be allowed to dictate what freedom of speech is and who can say it and when they can say it and how they can say it? That is something we'd love to hear from you guys on. Send us emails. Let us know. arsenio@arsenio.com is the email for the office, and you can send us an email. But in looking at this, we need to ask ourselves, should this be allowed? I have serious concerns for allowing organizations, any organization, even though it's their platform, to dictate to us what we can say and what we can hear. Why should Facebook determine what I can hear regarding an election, what type of political commentary is allowed? Who are they to tell me that I can only see advertisements for, say, Joe Biden, but I can't see them for Donald Trump? I think that is offensive. I think that's a problem. The argument is it legal, and should it be legal? Or should they be required to allow people to post what they want to post, so long as, again, within common reason, they're not necessarily inciting riots or something like that? Because, obviously we don't want violence and we're not looking to see anybody get hurt. So I put this out to you, and you guys can let me know and what you think. And please, come and talk to us and tell us. And we'll keep your eye on this situation and keep your eye on other situations, because these are out there all the time, especially now. You express an opinion, I don't care what it is, guaranteed there's going to be somebody out there, and you always run the risk of this now huge backlash, and it's due to the proliferation of the internet and all these social media platforms. I think everybody needs to be more tolerant. I think these organizations need to be tolerant. I think they need to be required to be tolerant, but that's just my opinion. And I'd like to hear yours. Everybody, listen, thank you. Look forward to getting to see and talk to you again. Have a great day.
Thank you for watching Arsenio Law. Please do not forget to like and subscribe.